For those of us who had the good fortune to work for the Appalachian Mountain Club in the huts, the experience enriched us in many ways. It helped shape our personalities, and for many, it shaped and guided our careers. The hard physical work of packing, the daily chores of reaming the hut, cooking for huge crowds of hungry hikers, and answering their seemingly endless questions were tempered by the camaraderie we shared during raids, pack day excursions, and days off. At the annual Fall Fest reunion in November of 2018, a crew member from each of the decades, beginning with the 1940s, shared anecdotes and memories of their time in the huts. It was an evening of reflection punctuated with frequent laughter, where we looked back and took note of how much had changed and how much had stayed the same in AMC huts.
My name is Becca Waldo. I'm here to represent the huts in their feisty teenage years. I worked from 2012 to 2015, a handful of seasons. One of my first memories of Miles in the fall of 2012 when I started and was completely bewildered and not really aware that this job involved cooking if I was a naturalist, was hearing him over the radio during social call, or actually, no, it was pre-social call. Miles, you were responding to Rezzies, and you used your best Dracula voice, Count Dracula, and you said you were ready for Count. And yeah, so Miles, I was told recently that you were going to be a tough act to follow, and yeah, here I am. Typical millennial. I don't have any AV. I barely even prepared something, just procrastinated. If you want to see some pictures, look at my Instagram feed. I don't know. Yeah, Phoebe Howe asked me to do this, but I was too busy texting to say any, plan anything out. I think she's really pushing me to try and be a stand-up comedian, so this is my first gig. If I did prepare something, I think the title of my PowerPoint slide would be Limmers to La Sportiva, accelerated pace of progress in the technological teens. I guess that's why I could have had a slide. But I think it's neat to have heard everyone's stories about the huts back from when you had to hike from Route 3 to Galehead, an even longer pack trail, to really getting the background of the 2000s, which were the era that we inherited in the teens and are continuing to try and emanate and also continue to progress to have the huts be a more inclusive place, not just for the people who work there, but for the people who visit, the people who we want to care about these mountains that we all care about so much. But traditions in the huts are still intact. We've got 8 huts still in generally the same places. We're all still packing. We don't have drone drops or Amazon Prime delivering us freshies twice a week. And I feel like there might have been a few wool blankets that have slipped through the cracks and are still from the 50s in the huts, but I'm pretty sure I've used them to sleep in. But there have been a lot of changes due to this accelerated technology. We've all got pocket computers now. There's cell phone service, gosh darn near everywhere. Except for Zealand, unless you're caretaking and you're very lonely and you have the booster on and you have it right by the booster. But not speaking from personal experience. Yeah, so there's cell phone service almost everywhere. And some people lament the decline of social call, the decline of truck notes, and things like that. But we still communicate with each other that way. It's just a little bit of a, anachronistic. You have to do a little bit more snooping to get your hut gossip going on. And that's pretty fun. Along with these smartphones and technology and sort of BuzzFeed articles, we've got an inundation as Tom, you were observing, of day hikers, which is great. We want people to be out here enjoying these mountains and enjoying these huts, but it does mean that the Falling Waters Loop from Greenleaf is now a 10-mile hike instead of 9 miles, because you have to hike a mile on 93 to get there on a weekend. That's getting fixed. But yeah, it's more of a challenge to get crew log photos with everybody just snapping pictures from their phones. And there is, that question of like, are we still present as crew members when we can just be looking, like Snapchatting each other, communicating with people in the valley so easily. And I think something that's really cool is, compared to the rest of the world, when you go up to a hut, people are interacting with each other face to face and not so glued to their screens. And then, not all of the progress and change that's happened has necessarily been like a negative or anything, not to ascribe value to too much. We've got increased support from the Valley now. There are now 3 people on the hut management team. We've got James and Eric and Whitney, so it's 2-8, from 2-8 we've gone to 3-7, so it's another set of eyes to look under all the sticky counters that we're hiding and to tell us to throw out our sourdough starter that might become another crew member soon that they'll have to pay if we're not too careful. There's been a focus on equality and inclusion. It's been really cool to hear from Liz about the women in the huts in the 70s. That really resonates. Because my first season, my first summer working in the huts, Hutmaster set, it was 6 dudes and 2 women who were there. And then the next season, or straight after, the switch was flipped. It was 7 women and 1 Kimball, and we had a great time. So and that is, it's a balancing act, and I think there were seasons. It's cool also, Amber Dindorf was on the 30-year anniversary 2017 all-female crew at Zealand, so big shout out to that. So yeah, we're moving forward. We're moving away from alienation and othering of our guests, of ourselves, and trying to be more cognizant of the language that we use, given the political climate that we're in, and trying to cut any animosity and competition, like within crews, from crews to the public, nip it in the bud. So the latch string award was done away with in 2013. Power raids, which are like, fun, but also can be kind of scary and result in somebody getting like stabbed with a trekking pole, and like screaming, and it can be scary if your kids are there and somebody's getting hogtied. So that's been discouraged, but we're still raiding, don't worry. Yeah, so we've got a big focus on community and cohesiveness throughout the hut system, which really resonates on days like this when we all get together and we're all able to talk about the places that we love and the people that we love. Many of us talk about like making a great like huts family tree, since there's so many intergenerational crew members. And one thing that I often enjoy is getting together with a bunch of hut folks and exchanging stories that often follow the model of, oh, do you remember that one time first name, last name, and first name, last name did that one thing that was so crazy? And it extends beyond generations, talking about each other as legacies and legends, and more importantly, friends that we care about. So yeah, thank you all for your time and attention.